Hi, my name is Tabitha Pope. I am currently the author of 2 books, and I am working on several others as we speak. Today I just want to talk to you about my first book, The Curse of Castle Morgaine, which is now available on Amazon, as well as its sequel, which is also available on Amazon. Just a heads up. But The Curse of Castle Morgaine is about Katrina, who is a woman ahead of her time, and Vincent, who, for lack of a better word, is a count under a powerful curse. And the story is about what happens when their two worlds collide and what happens when they meet. But instead of telling you a whole bunch about the book, I thought what I would do today is just read you a little bit of it. I'm just going to read you the first part, the first chapter, actually the prologue. So, let's begin. Therese stepped down out of the carriage with a wicked smile upon her face. "It's time," she whispered, as a sudden gust of wind blew by. "Time to make the foolish mortal pay." She licked her lips in anticipation. Therese was beautiful. All men said so, and so they were right. They fell to their knees to worship the very ground she walked on. Many would have sold their souls for just one kiss. One night in her arms and in her bed. In fact, most men had. Or they just ended up being her dessert. She laughed at the thought. Yes, no man ever dared refuse her anything, and no man had ever rejected her. No man, save one. She gritted her teeth in anger at the memory. Who the hell did he think he was, to turn her down? So he was a lord, a great and wealthy count, who owned a castle, and all her years upon this earth she had met many such men, all nobility born and bred, and oh so arrogant, the lot of them. It had been such a man who changed her. He had been a handsome man, a stranger to the area, having only just moved to her small village. His name had been Count Valant Protaski. The Count was an odd one. No one ever saw him until after sunset. However, he would come to all the parties held by the nobility, whether or not he had been invited. No one ever dared to refuse him admittance or ask him to leave. The men did not exactly care for him, but then perhaps that could have been because all the women adored him. The women flocked around him. No woman could resist him, not even Therese. Therese had been beautiful back then, but no one looked close enough upon her to see that she wasn't rich like those other ladies, and wasn't dressed in the finest silks and satins. She was nothing more than a scullery maid. Half the time her clothes, hands, and even her face was covered in dirt and soot. No, not a single man even looked in her direction. Until he came. He saw the possibilities. He saw what other men could not see, and he wanted her. It had been a heady feeling, being wanted, chased after. Needless to say, he won her over as quickly as he had all the others. Fortunately for her, or unfortunately, depending on how you looked upon it, he wanted her for more than just a bedmate. Oh yes, he wanted much more from her. He had lived a very long life, far too long in fact, and for the most part his whole existence had been a very lonely one. In fact, he had been a great and powerful sorcerer. In death he became even more powerful, for he brought with him to his new life all the powers from his old life. How he came to be as he was, she knew not, for he would never tell her. In all the centuries they traveled together, he never fully trusted her, nor would he ever speak of his past. It would seem that at some point he truly came to despise her, to hate that which he had created, but by that time she had become almost as powerful as he. His own fault, truth be told, for teaching her all his secrets and sharing the power with her. Therese disgusted him, and he had told her this. The Count couldn't stand her complete disregard for the lives of mortals, or how she toyed with her food. Finally, having had enough, he left her to fend for herself, Oh, he wanted to kill her, but he could not bring himself to do so. Having created her, he had forged an unbreakable bond between them. Killing her would have been like killing himself, and that he could not do, so he left her instead. The Count's absence suited Charisse just fine. She had gotten sick of his holier-than-thou attitude and his trying to control her, and she was beautiful and powerful enough to always get exactly what she wanted. For 100 years after Count Valant Protaski abandoned her, she continued to get everything she wanted. That is, until she met Count Vincent Morgaine. Charisse wanted him the moment she saw him. She had been determined to have him. She never questioned her ability to obtain his heart, body, and soul. However, to her surprise, he rejected her, told her in no uncertain terms that he was simply not interested in her in the slightest way. The audacity of that man to dare to refuse her! He would pay dearly for that mistake. She looked up at the night sky and smiled. The full moon was shining brightly. It would be the only light Count Morgaine would ever see from this night forward. Charisse walked up the steps leading to the castle entrance, grasped the huge lion-head door knocker, and knocked on the door. Moments later, the door opened and she stepped inside. Then the screaming commenced. Now that is the prologue for The Curse of Castle Morgaine, my first book. This is geared toward mature teens and adults, so not for kids. There are a couple of scenes in 1 or 2 chapters that's, definitely for adults. It is a romance after all, and it is geared toward adults. So, but this is on Amazon, so if you like what you've heard so far, please go out and check it out, buy it, and read the rest of the story. And again, my name is Tabitha Pope, and I will talk to you later. Bye.